When you see Coach Manny Robles in the corner of our underdog, just know this: an upset is about to transpire. We saw it. Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. Who was the coach? Manny Robles. Guzman versus Ramla Ali, 10-1 underdog. Knockout, Guzman. Armando Resendiz, Caleb Plant over 6-1 underdog. The list goes on and on and on. Brandon Figueroa versus Nick Ball. Recent upset. Listen, the king of the upsets is Manny Robles. And not just that, I truly believe that he is the best coach, the best boxing coach in the world right now. Coach Manny Robles. Nobody does it like him. The proper, and I mean the proper Mexican style. Listen, this is the secret weapon for Armando Resendiz going up against Jaime Munguia. Let's talk about it, beautiful people. Listen, Armando Resendiz, he was, an average fighter, an average tough, good old Mexican warrior. But ever since he teamed up with Manny Robles, the man has been on fire, destroyed Caleb Plant. While on the other hand, Jaime Munguia went from Eric Morales, Freddie Roach, Eric Morales again, Freddie Roach again. Now, Coach Eddie Reynoso, and let's be honest, Coach Eddie Reynoso is the only coach in boxing history to have over 5 fighters test positive for PEDs. Martinez, Neary, Canelo, Munguia, and the list goes on and on and on, beautiful people. Listen, I hate to say this, but Canelo is special. But Coach Eddie Reynoso is not special. Canelo would have been, yes, you gotta admire the loyalty from Canelo. But Canelo is a special fighter. He would have been great no matter who his coach was, Yes, Eddie Reynoso did help him, but let's be honest, Chepo, the father of Eddie Reynoso, is the man who developed Canelo Alvarez. And, Eddie Reynoso, if you think about it, when have we ever seen even Ryan Garcia, another fighter, team Eddie Reynoso, tested positive for PEDs. So, not only, let's be honest, when have we ever seen a fighter teaming up with Eddie Reynoso and they got better? Canelo is his only special once-in-a-lifetime fighter. Munguia did not get better from that Bruno Soras fight. He tested positive for PEDs after the fight. Frank Sanchez did not get better with him. Ryan Garcia did not get better with him. Martinez, no defense before Reynoso, no defense with Reynoso or after Reynoso. And I can keep on. Luis Nery, did he actually get better with Eddie Reynoso? No. So all I'm saying is this. This is more than just a battle of, Resendiz versus Munguia. This is a battle of teams. Who got the best team? Without a question, Manny Robles is a way better trainer than Eddie Reynoso, And not just that, let's talk about the fighters. Eddie Reynoso's fighter, Jaime Munguia. Let's talk about Jaime Munguia. Listen, Jaime Munguia, I truly believed that he actually had a chance to beat Canelo. He's big, strong, sturdy, volume puncher, got power, got an iron chin, and, fought Canelo, and he was putting it on Canelo before he got dropped and before he gassed. But, Munguia is actually a good fighter, very good fighter at that. His defense, though, is his biggest problem. And not just that. When you talk about a tall fighter like Munguia, when have we ever seen a tall fighter roll, when Munguia throws punches, he ducks so low. It's actually, stunning to see. Munguia is one of the bigger fighters at 160 and at 154 before, and even now at 168, he's a big guy. But he does not use his height at all. He does not use his range at all. He just wants to have a firefight. And listen, Canelo did not knock him out. But a fight after that, 8 months after that, he got knocked out by a guy with 4 knockouts, Bruno Soras. And not just that, if you actually look at Canelo, he didn't knock out Munguia, but then Munguia got knocked out after the fight. He didn't knock out Berlanga, but then Berlanga got knocked out after that by Shiraz. He didn't knock out William Skull, but then William Skull got knocked out by that German a couple of months ago. So just because Munguia won the distance with Canelo, that doesn't mean that Munguia got, still has an iron chin. He's fighting a fellow young, ferocious killer, He's not fighting an experienced, over-the-hill fighter. And listen, if it wasn't for the coaches, I would have picked Munguia. But the moment Armando Resendiz teamed up with Manny Robles, I knew that he was going to beat Caleb Plant. And I truly believe that he will also beat Jaime Munguia. The moment this fight got announced, I was like, you know what? Why did Armando take this fight? First title defense versus someone like Munguia. I think Munguia might just pull it off. But then I was like, hold on a second. Armando Resendiz is actually full-time now with Coach Manny Robles. Armando Resendiz is actually entering his prime. Armando Resendiz, he's been in only one war in his entire career versus Elijah Garcia. While on the other hand, Munguia has been in so many wars. That Bazinian fight was a war. That Canelo fight was a war. That Dervyachenko fight was a war. That Gabriel Rosado fight was a war. And I could keep on going for days, beautiful people. Jaime Munguia has taken so much punishment in his career. You gotta fear for the man's health, And I do not believe that Jaime Munguia is in his prime. When you test positive for PEDs early in your career, when you get knocked out, after reaching the pinnacle of the sport, when his performance versus Bruno Soras was very lackluster, and he tested positive for PEDs after the fight. So how much credit can we really give him? That fight got turned into a no contest, and that fight was a year ago almost. Yes, it was a year ago, last May. So what has Munguia been doing in the last year? I don't know. We don't know, but we definitely know what Armando Resendiz has been doing in the past year ever since he beat Caleb Plant. He's been in the gym non-stop, like Coach Manny Robles said. Armando Resendiz is one of the most disciplined, and not just disciplined, but most dedicated fighters in the gym. And when you talk about the gym of Manny Robles, he has a specialty when you talk about rebuilding fighters. Resendiz lost, went to Robles, look at him now. Andy Ruiz lost to Joseph Parker, went with Manny Robles, knocked out Anthony Joshua in one of the biggest upsets of all time. Brandon Figueroa lost to Stephen Fulton for the second time, and then arguably lost to Joel Gonzalez. But that was, his first stage of rebuilding with Manny Robles. And look at him now. Went to the UK and knocked out Nick Ball. Never been dropped before Nick Ball. Never been dropped, never been knocked out, never lost before. He doesn't have any losses. He was undefeated before the fight. Figueroa dropped him for the first time, beat him for the first time, and knocked him out for the first time in the final round. In one of the biggest, most epic comebacks you will ever see. So all I'm saying is this, beautiful people. Jaime Munguia is tough. Jaime Munguia is brave. Jaime Munguia was one of my favorite fighters until he tested positive for PEDs. But it is impossible for me. It is absolutely impossible for me to not cheer for any Manny Robles fighter. Look at Coach Manny Robles. The way that he talks, the way that he views the game, the way that he approaches boxing. It's just a, breath of fresh air, I love listening to Coach Manny Robles talk. He's so humble, he's so gracious, he's so cerebral, most importantly, and he is a genius when you talk about the sport of boxing. He teaches the proper Mexican style. Yes, pressure. Yes, high guard. Yes, the distance control, not taking a lot of punishment. When do we ever see, Brandon Figueroa, before he teamed up with Manny Robles, I'm not going to say that he was a punching bag because that would be disrespectful. but he couldn't dodge a punch to save his life. But with Manny Robles, he started controlling the distance more. And when you talk about the defense, you don't need to have crazy head movement. You don't need to have crazy footwork. Sometimes you just gotta know your distance a little bit better. Just like Armando Resendiz did versus Caleb Plant. Armando Resendiz took a lot of punishment versus Elijah Garcia, a fighter way lesser than Plant. But when he teamed up with Robles, went against such an elite fighter like Plant, the man barely took any punishment in the fight. I mean, the first 3 rounds, he was getting touched up a bit, but he was so calm. He was cool as ice. And slowly but surely, you can feel it from the first round that it was only a matter of time before he crept up and got to Caleb Plant. And once he got to Caleb Plant, like usual, was holding on for dear life. I got Armando Resendiz in this fight. And not only do I believe that Armando will win this fight, but I believe he can knock out Jaime Munguia. Listen, if Bruno Soras did it, best believe that Armando Resendiz did it. We can do it. Now, can Munguia win the fight? Of course. Munguia throws a lot of punches. He's tough. And, in this past year, if he spent actually his time practicing his craft and not sparring as much, not taking a lot of damage, giving his brain some rest, he can come in and shock the world. But when you talk about shocking the world, look no further than Coach Manny Robles. And with Armando Resendiz training with Coach Manny Robles, he is the underdog in this fight, even though he's the champion. But listen, I'm going with the underdog. Why? Is because he is simply, the main reason is because he's simply with Coach Manny Robles. And Coach Manny Robles, nobody can pull off the upset like Coach Manny Robles. No matter what the situation is, no matter how damaged the fighter that goes to him, he just seems to find a way, not just to make them better physically, but most importantly, mentally. Mentally, Coach Manny Robles programs these fighters and makes them regain their confidence. And that's what it's all about. This game is mental. This life is mental. It's not physical. I'm going with Armando Resendiz.